This is Dr. Carroll, and this is the introductory video in the Python Dictionaries series. In this video, I'll be talking about empty dictionaries, adding key value pairs to dictionaries, accessing a value from a dictionary, removing a key value pair from a dictionary, and initializing dictionaries. Dictionaries are my favorite data structure because they are fast to insert, remove, and query items. So what is a dictionary? A dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. Keys are mapped to values, and keys can be any immutable type in Python. So that means not a list or a dictionary. Okay, so anything else, a string, boolean, an int, a float, any immutable type. Now, values can be any type, including lists and dictionaries. Now, keys must be unique. They cannot be repeated, but values can be repeated. So, the way I think about a dictionary is a shopping list. So let's say you wanted to make a shopping list. To start with, let's make an empty dictionary, and let's call it to buy. So to make an empty dictionary, you use curly braces. And there we have it. So empty lists are square brackets, so don't confuse the two different types, okay? And so there we have an empty dictionary. Now let's talk about adding elements into our dictionary. So to add an element, an item in, we do that by setting or assigning a value to a key. Now we need to have a dictionary first. An empty one will do. Great. Now that we have an empty dictionary, let's put some things in it. In a typical week, the shopping list for my family starts with milk. So let's add in milk. So the way we add in a key value pair is we use the name of the dictionary. We use square brackets. I know, that surprised me too when I learned it. We use square brackets. And then we specify the key. Now remember, a key can be any immutable type, so a string will work. So here, milk is our string, our key. So now, there's our key. Now we need our values. So then we assign that key in the dictionary to a value. And my family typically in a week buys 6 gallons of milk. So then let's add another one. So we use the dictionary name again, and we use the square brackets, and then we use a different key, eggs. And here, let's use the string 4 dozen. Okay, so notice values can be ints or strings or really any type. And now let's add one more. Let's get a fruit on there. Mangoes. Let's get 6 of them. Now notice the keys have to be unique, but the values do not. Okay, let's switch to a different dictionary to demonstrate not only strings for keys, but ints as well. To do so, let's learn some Portuguese. English numbers to Portuguese strings. Let's start off with an empty dictionary. Let's call it translate. Now let's start with our numbers. Okay, so in Portuguese, the number, in English, the number 0 is zero. I'm fluent in Brazilian Portuguese. Just trust me. That's right. Okay, let's learn another one. If we wanted to translate 1. That's 2, dois, 3, tres. You know what? That's not quite right, so let's fix it. There we go. Tres, using Unicode. Okay? And so now what did we just do? Well, let's look into this more. Let's display the dictionary to understand what's going on. Now, we don't usually display the entire dictionary at once, but let's see what happens to better understand what's going on. Okay, so let's see what it output. It's going to output our curly braces, then it's going to output the first item we put in, with as a key value pair, comma, key value pair, comma, key value pair, comma, key value pair. Now notice here that it only has one key for 3, and it has our latest entry there, and not our earlier tres without the accent mark. Great. Now let's add more keys to this dictionary to be more versatile. Let's add in a key with 0 and with the value 0, 1 for 2 for dois, 3 for tres. Now let's see what our dictionary looks like now after adding those last 4. We've just put more key value pairs into our dictionary. Now, great. Now that we've learned how to create a dictionary and add key value pairs, let's see how to retrieve a value. So let's have English num equals 3, and now let's use our dictionary name and our square brackets and use English num as our key, and now we can access it by assigning it to a new variable here, and then we could display. In Portuguese, 3 is tres, is what it will output. The next thing to learn is to remove key value pairs. The syntax may look very familiar. We use del again for delete. We specify the dictionary name, and then if we just do this, it'll delete the whole dictionary. So don't do that. What we need to do is specify the key value pair that we want to delete, and we do that by just specifying the key. And that's how we remove a key value pair. You have to specify the dictionary and the key. Note that you can't just remove just a key or just a value. You have to remove a key value pair specified by the key. Let's see an example. So going back to our shopping list example, if we display how many items are in our shopping list, and I put list in quotes here because it's a dictionary, and then notice I'm just displaying the dictionary here with our formatted string, our F string, and the output would be there are 3 items in our shopping list: milk, key milk, value 6, key eggs, value 4 dozen, key mangoes, value 6. I usually buy more than that at the store. So now if we said, you know what, we have enough eggs, don't buy eggs, then we remove that, and then we were to display it again, it'd say now there's only 2 items on the list, and they have been removed from the dictionary. Okay, let me show all of this in an example. Okay, so if we started out with an empty dictionary with the Python command up here in the light gray bar, it would create an empty dictionary with nothing in the keys and nothing in the values. If we added in the key value pair milk with and 6, then it would put milk, the string milk in the keys, and it put 6 in the values. Now we could add eggs and 4 dozen, and it would add that in there. Now when we add mangoes, I chose this to illustrate that we can have repeated values, but we cannot have repeated keys. Otherwise, we are changing it rather than adding a new one. Now if we displayed it, I show the output down here, it would display it just as we've seen before. Now, what if we wanted to display something? We could say print using the dictionary name, using the key that is going to pull out the value 6, and that's what would be displayed here. Now, if we wanted to change a value, if we wanted to update it, for example, we said, you know what, mangoes are on sale, let's buy some more, we would update 8. And notice it didn't update milk, and so it knew that there are 2 keys referencing that, and so it only updated the mangoes one. And so now if we displayed that as an entire dictionary, it would update the 8 here. And to illustrate removing, if we said remove eggs, flipping back, this is what it was before, and then now we remove eggs, it removes it from the key, and then there's no way to get at that value in the values part of the dictionary. If we were to display it, sure enough, it would display milk and mangoes. Now, if we just said delete to by with no square brackets and no key, boop, it's all gone. So the last topic for this video is initializing a dictionary. And so dictionaries can be initialized with key value pairs. So the syntax is using the dictionary name and then assigning it to well, you'd say a dictionary here using the curly braces, and you'd specify a key and a colon, as we just saw with it being displayed, and a value. And then we separate key value pairs with commas. So then we'd add in a comma, add in another key, separated by a colon and another value, and a comma, and so on and so forth, as many as we wanted to type. And so notice that this is exactly the same format as when the entire dictionary is displayed. Let's see an example. Let's use a black book example, okay? So if we had a phone book and we wanted to initialize it with some of our friends here, we could have Chris, and so that's the key. That means we can only have one friend named Chris, though, and that's Chris's number. And then Pat, and so now that's the key, and so we specify the colon there, and now a value. By the way, I just made up these phone numbers. And then we can add in and separate it by a comma, and then add in another friend, and then we can add in a whole bunch more gender neutral named friends, and there we go. Now note that you can have an extra comma at the very end and Python will just ignore it. Isn't that nice? So then we could display, hey, what is Riley's phone number? And then it would display 555-4444. That's it for this video. Check out my other videos in the dictionary series.